Well, I'll call this meeting of the CRA Board for Thursday, November the 5th, 2020 to order. If we could all please stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Member Dwight Loading.
Here.
Member Joel Davis. Here. Member Keith Trace, and he does have an excused absence this evening. Member Chuck Cooper.
Here.
Member Dave Askew.
Here.
Vice Chair Lynette Matheny. Here. Chair Nathan Blackwell.
Here. I'd like to remind everybody, when you speak closely and loudly into your microphone so we can all hear well tonight because of the distance. The next item on our agenda is the approval of our August 6, 2020 minutes. Hopefully all of you had a opportunity to review those. Could I have a motion for adoption? A motion for Mr. Davis, a second from Councilmember Askew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And they carry unanimously. This brings us to our staff report update. The first item on the agenda is the facility being built on Broadway or on New York. Mr. Andre, what do you have for us? Andre Anderson.
I'm actually smiling, so you can't see that. Good afternoon, Andre Anderson, Community Development Director. This first item is related to building and site improvement grant application for number 22004 for 226 Broadway, Kissimmee, LLC. This is the project that we refer to as the Makinson Building, 980 New York Avenue. And this property, as you know, was sold, and the property owner, 226 Broadway, Kissimmee, LLC, is the owner of the property, and they are in the process of renovating the property for use. They submitted a grant application to the CRA, and it included several items, starting with facade, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, refrigeration, and then it also previously had included landscaping, which we have since removed from the application. So the categories that you see on the screen and in your packet is the approved categories under this special consideration category for a building and site improvement grant. And each of those categories has a maximum based on the square footage of the building that's being applied for. And in this instance, category maximums are $15,000. So based on whatever the requested improvements are, the maximum amount that would be eligible would be only $15,000. So for instance, the first category of facade, they had $42,080 as their cost estimate for those changes. 50% of that would have been more than $15,000, so $15,000 is the maximum that we would allow for that grant. So their total cost estimate is approximately $131,755. As such, our eligible grant amount is $53,587. This again is just a summary of the grant request. Their request is eligible for $53,587. That's the pending award amount. We have budgeted in this fiscal year 2021 $100,000. So the balance after if you approve this grant amount, would be $46,412.50. Just below that, in reference to a previous grant, but just let you know that that is already completed and reimbursement is pending on the South Fund Plaza. But is there any questions on the BSIG grant for 918 New York Mixon Building? And the applicant is here to also answer questions if you have any.
First of all, would the applicant like to speak? You're welcome to do so.
Well, can y'all hear me all right through the mask?
Yeah, that helps, yes.
Okay. Well, thank y'all for your time. It's been quite a journey since, I think it was January when we were talking about buying the building and kind of agreed on terms and everything like that. So the world's changed a lot since then, and we've kind of grinded through everything, and progress with the building is going really well. And, you know, with the help of Shelley and the city staff, we're feeling like everything's in a good position. And I don't know if this is when I would maybe take your questions, but
I'm fixing to do that.
Okay.
Just want to know if you had
All
anything
right.
you want to share. We certainly are glad to see all of the work you're already doing there, so it's
yeah, we
exciting to see that shaping up down there.
we probably, I mean, our lungs are full of sawdust for sure. If anybody walked by over the past, or at least from like, let's say August through September, we were just sanding everything in there. Just about everything was covered in paint or and whatnot. And we were able to bring out a lot of the character of the support joists in the ceiling and the floors. And we've done a lot of work over there.
Very good. Would anyone like to ask any questions?
I have at least one.
Mr. Davis? Could you pull your mic down so we can hear you?
I'm a tiny bit confused on the page 6. It says at the very bottom says, quote, if you go down there, quote number 3 is construction management services for 113. But if you look on page 10, maybe 2/3 of the way down, it says the low bidder is Central Florida Building Corporation at a price of 113. So I'm just confused as to which one of those is correct. Or am I not reading something right?
No, that's correct. We've been really engaged with a lot of the subs for the general contractors, and we got construction management's sub prices down to where it matched basically anything from option 3, and we're just more familiar with those subs too that is through construction management or Central Florida Building Corp. And so the numbers are actually in sync. It's just as far as the presentation goes with this, I caught that while I was sitting down just then.
So the price is essentially the 113, but the vendor will be construction management.
That's correct. Or sorry, yeah, Central Florida Building Corp. I keep confusing the two.
Did you get that clarification?
I guess. So you've gotten Central Florida Building Corp down to the 113.
Correct.
Okay. So how does that affect your cost estimates above it?
Let's see.
That totaled 131,755.
Bear with me a moment.
Yep.
Okay. Well, a little bit of backstory on the construction management services. I'm not sure if it has to do with COVID or anything like that, but communication got really just sloppy through being able to meet the subs, being able to get straight answers on what would constitute, say, like change orders and things like that. So it just kind of skewed to, our comfort level was far,
Okay. So
does that make
now-
sense?
So how does Central Florida Building Corp's breakdowns for those 5 categories compare?
It got to where you're talking about for the 131?
Correct.
It got to where those were what we felt were the more reliable actual numbers.
But their
As it
bid's
applied,
113.
I'm sorry?
But their bid's 113, you said, right?
That's right, but as it applied to, it's kind of hard to explain.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Two of the categories go over, max out at the 15,000 instead of the 50%.
Right.
So I'm just wondering how the 113 new bid from Central Florida Building Corp breaks down in those same 5 categories compared to the one, call it 132, that's shown there.
Well, I mean, I've got Ray here. He's got more experience with how the subs went. If he may be able to give you better answers, or
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you
no,
on the
it's
spot.
okay. It's no problem at all. It's.
Mayor, can I say something
Long story short,
before they?
Ms. Matheny?
Thank you. Member Davis, I had the same question, especially because on page 10, it acknowledges the low bid amount is 113, and it says that the low bid 113 and grants will be based accordingly. But, and I'm just opening this up for discussion, but the project categories, the last column says 50% or 15,000, whichever is less. And if you take the 113, 50% of that is 56,000. I mean, just looking at it in a different way. So like, I asked the same question to Ms. Watson before the meeting started, like, where did this cost estimate come from, the 131? Because that's not any of those numbers. I think it's an average of 1 and 2 prior to renegotiating. So I'll let them explain, but I was having the same questions as well.
Well, so then that really, what I'm coming down to is it could make a difference of them being reimbursed, call it 56,000 or whatever, or 53, depending on whether the 113 is still mostly in the 2 categories that's maxed out and capped at the 15,000.
Right.
Not a huge amount of money difference, I'm just,
It's not accurate.
I have a
Press
question, and I'm not sure if this is for the Parsons or not. There's a lot of folks that have come in front of us and asked for a lot of different things, especially air conditioners. And I see that you have an air conditioner on here, and I don't think we've ever approved an air conditioner. We had a church asking for 5. We had Bob Beecham asking for air conditioners. We had a upholstery place asking for an air conditioner. So is there something that's changed in the CRA that we take care of the
isn't
The
that
AC?
part of the special consideration?
Yeah,
though?
special.
Yeah, but does it add value to the building?
Well, but if they have more than 10,
I'm asking a question
Yeah.
because we open this up, then every single person that's going to rehab a building will be asking for an air conditioner. So it just seems like in the past that we've sort of, we have not gone that direction. So I don't know if something's changed or, I'm just asking the question to the CRA.
If I could address that, in this particular case, it's not like these air conditioners needed to be serviced, but they're totally gone.
Right.
Like, there are no air conditioners in the building at this point. So we're starting from scratch. We basically took the building back as a shell.
I'm not questioning that at all. I really am not. I've been in the building. Zachary brought me through the building. You're doing a fantastic job. What I'm saying, being trained in the CRA, does this add to the value of the building? If it doesn't, then I'm not sure that that's something that we can help fund. And we're also opening it up to every single person that comes in front of us that's doing a rehab is going to be eligible for an air conditioning. And if the CRA decides that they want to do that, then that's the direction we need to head.
But I don't see that as a problem, because it falls under the special consideration, because it has more than 10 jobs, and because it potentially adds more value to downtown by being a generator of people more so than a retail type.
Right, and I don't disagree with you, but any building would be that.
I'm sorry.
Any building that's going to be rehab would be doing the same thing, so.
Well, no, not necessarily, but I mean, they're gonna have people down there at night and when we have excess parking and things like
Okay.
that, I mean,
As long as we're prepared that when the next person that comes up wants to add that, then I guess I'm okay, but we've had at least 3 or 4 that I can think of that we've shot down.
but I don't
For
think
those-
they fell in the special consideration, did they?
I think the church did, but I think you also caught the church that was put in earlier than it was asked for. The upholstery was asking for it, and they were denied. Bob Beechin was asked for it, he was denied. So I'm just throwing it out there so it doesn't come back and slap us in the face, that's all.
Member Loading.
I, along with Dave, member Askew, that's the thing that kind of raised a red flag with me also, because we have denied it in the past. There's only one time we did approve it, and that was Osceola Engineering. We did approve them. But after that, we had a long discussion about air conditioning and whether we would approve that in the future. And I believe what we came up with was the fact, no, unless we had some kind of special consideration. But I still struggle with that. I'm okay with it. I like Dave, I'm concerned with going forward. Is it going to open up a hole, that we don't want to go down,
Anyone else?
I don't either, really, but I just don't. It's not this building, it's not this. It's going forward. Are we okay with that, making that decision as it, comes before us? I mean, that'll have to be made. But, and I do agree, this is a building that needed to be rehabbed. It went through the CRA program. We're getting it back on, on mainstream. So, that part of me says, yeah, let's do this. Let's get this building, operational again, and let's get going. But as long as we're okay with, the fact that we've said no in the past.
I guess, how does the rest of the CRA feel about
I
that?
still have a problem. I still have a problem. We didn't go for it to start with, and now that we're gonna
Speaking of the
change in
Michael
midstream,
case with
we're gonna change in midstream, so I still have a problem.
Okay.
Mr.
I'd
Thing.
just like to offer
It's
one other
sticky.
perspective.
It is sticky.
Sticky.
It's sticky.
Well, it's sticky without AC, I get that. yeah.
Right.
I think Mr. Anderson has something.
Mr. Anderson.
Andre Anderson, Community Development Director. So in response to the questions being asked about the HVAC, the City Council directed us to add a special consideration category to explain why we would allow it. And the way it's written, it's very specific. It says if it's for a building that would be essentially condemned and obsolete, and that it's still the CRA's decision whether or not it gets approved. So the questions you're asking are legitimate and are valid and are appropriate to ask whether we should do it. It wasn't a blanket, every time somebody comes to HVAC, you would approve it. It's a discussion just as you're having right now, whether we should do it or not. And so you need to then weigh whether or not the value of this building is going to achieve the desired outcome for economic development for the city of St. Cloud. I think many of you said it would, and so the purpose of that special category is just that, is to allow a building that would have otherwise been condemned to be brought back to use in the downtown area. So it's not in the application, it's very clear that it would require your approval. It's not one that the staff automatically approves.
Mr. Davis?
Do we know what the building's currently assessed at, or was assessed at the last year?
Unfortunately, I don't have any information right in front of me because that's in my files at work, but we can get that for you.
Because I can't,
Or maybe,
I don't know, I don't have a clue, but I can't imagine it was assessed at a very high number. It was trash. I mean, we're lucky it didn't get tore down. When they get done, I mean, the whole point of the CRA is tax increment financing. So when they get done, the value of that building is going to jump, or I would think, is going to jump way up on the tax rolls. I mean, the city or the CRA will get their money back out of that at some point. That's the whole concept.
Mayor?
Well, I'm certainly in favor of, let's be as generous as we can to get this thing rolling along. And like you said, I think it's a special consideration that we certainly have the authority to set. Would you like to speak, Mr. Eskew?
No, I was just, I always come back to, is it adding to the building? Every building in the state of Florida has to have air conditioning, or you can't have a person walk into it under the occupancy rules. But again, if we want to go with the special consideration, we feel it's strong enough that it's gonna hold ground where every single person that comes here in front of us and says, hey, look, my building is junk, and, you know.
also, I think, and again, I'm doing this from memory, because I just looked at it this afternoon. I think it says you have to establish a minimum of 10 jobs. So
That's
it
right.
has some criteria. So it's not
Right.
just anybody that can show up and say, hey, I want to get an HVAC. There's also some benchmarks that you have to achieve in order to be part of this category.
Right. It says 10 or more qualifying
That's what I
jobs.
thought, okay.
Which I'm assuming this restaurant's going to
I would assume it would.
exceed that.
Where's the 10 or more?
Right here, page 7, about the fourth, maybe sixth sentence down. I.e. 10 or more qualifying jobs, opportunity for economic impact, which I think this has a higher than average opportunity for economic impact by bringing people down.
Yeah.
It's going to be a destination. There's not,
Right.
there are a few in town, but not a lot. Especially
Not-
in that end of town, in that area. I think the other ones are down on the opposite end of downtown.
But it also says if a building requires complete renovations, the maximum award may be increased to include separate thresholds
Well, I
for
think that's
different
what this-
categories of work is what we're all struggling with.
Yeah, I think that's how they're getting to this number.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
if you look at every building needs to have air. I mean, if you look at it that way, and you look at the economic impact this location's going to have, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I just, what we've done in the past, but, you know, maybe that's something we need to evaluate a little more closely going forward. But
Well,
I understand the 10 here too, so, okay.
yeah, and we say every building has to have air, but there's a point where any building could be functionally obsolete, where it's not worth the cost to renovate it. I'm surprised this one isn't at that point, or wasn't, if it wasn't for the CRA take on, put money into it, it would have been, probably. You know, there's a point in time where it's just, the shell's not worth, the usable bones are not worth what it's gonna cost to bring it back compared to the economies of building something new. It's so more expensive to come in and retrofit any type of building. That AC system that's 42.5 here, if that was a brand-new building, I mean, based on 40 years as a general contractor, I could see it probably being 30. Just my point of view.
So do we want to move forward with this? Include that with it or not? We need to make a decision. Could I entertain a motion then?
I'll make a motion that we approve it for 50% of the 113 I guess it's even, whatever the 113 number is. 113,000 even, I guess, is what it is.
So that would include the air conditioning, that would include the air conditioning then?
Well, that's more than they're asking for.
Yes.
Well, but it's, okay, that's true. So that goes back to my other question, is how's it broken up? So then, actually, I'll amend it, 53,587.50.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Does any oppose? And it is unanimous. Thank you. It's approved. We look forward to seeing that air-conditioned building soon.
Exactly.
Can we ask
Look
what their
forward to it.
schedule is?
Yes.
Yeah, when does it?
Could
get
you
done?
share a schedule? Do you have a proposed schedule?
Our goal is to have
Yes.
both the front and the rear operating and, all the kinks out of the system by New Year's.
Oh, cool.
So,
Wow, awesome.
What
but
was
What
it?
year?
we've got a lot of stuff.
year?
I mean, this decision, we had a lot of stuff just kind of, ready to get done, So we're ready, we're excited, and we're ready to, get a lot of these other projects with the building ready. If anybody's walked in there lately, we've got like a lot of chandeliers in there.
Oh, it's
It'll go up
beautiful.
soon. It'll look pretty cool.
So
It'll
it's
look
going to
really
be
good when
Church
it's
Street
done.
Station?
Do what?
It's going to be Church Street Station?
I hope not, it's out of business.
What's that?
I said, I hope not, Church Street Station's out of business.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Can you
it-
share with us who's going to be, or what the food's going to be in there? I've heard a lot of different rumors on
Right.
what's going in there.
It's, well, do you want to talk about it?
And
the
if I could,
breeze
Mr.
operation?
Parsons, one
Like-
second, please. Mr. Mayor, if you could just, I'm not sure you asked for public comment, as Mr. Sturgeon
No,
pointed
sir, I
out.
did not.
For the motion that was, so you do need to just to correct that for the record, please.
Okay, is there someone here to speak to this in the public? For the record, there is no public comment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Sorry, I overlooked that.
But we've, if anybody's been to Breeze in downtown Kissimmee,
Yeah.
what we're looking into doing is something very similar with the rear part of the building, and that pavilion. And it'll serve food from the kitchen in the front. And we're working with Jim Schreck. He has a fire here downtown too. He's looking to expand into a new operation, and that operation will be in the front. And right now, we have a really good relationship going with him. We're tag teaming little projects here and there, and we're both of us are, we're really eager to get the place ready by New Year's. It's you don't want to miss the spring, the good weather. Spring, and I mean, it'd be nice to be open in the fall, but you don't really want to start a restaurant in, like, say, May or June when it's just about to start raining every single afternoon. So it'll be a really good time to work out the kinks and have a really nice environment, really nice weather to start a really healthy year for the business there.
So we're going to have a big packed New Year's Eve party there.
That would be nice if we could have a big old New Year's Eve party.
Right.
That would be great.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can I ask
Thank you very much.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, go right ahead.
Is the outside air conditioned, that pavilion, or is it open air?
It's going to be open air. It'll, there's some openings that'll be cut out into the building that some of that AC will kind of feed to the pavilion. But there'll be plenty of ceiling fans and stuff like that to try to keep the air just stirring and kind of fresh,
Fantastic.
Anything else? Nope. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jesse, do you got who made the motion? Who made the second on that?
Yes, Davis and Matheny.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson.
Next item on the agenda is the board meeting dates. Historically, the board has set a meeting to adopt the dates for the upcoming year, and I'd like to suggest a change to that. We know that this meeting is always held on the first Thursday of every other month, so there really isn't a need to adopt a schedule once you have a starting date of when that every other month starts. So I'd like to suggest that the board consider starting the every other month meeting dates October 1, 2020, and every ensuing other month at 6 p.m. This way, we don't have to set a meeting just to adopt a schedule. If you want to have additional meetings, that's fine. We can have special meetings as we are doing tonight.
Okay.
But this way, it just becomes a recurring meeting date, similar to how the city council has the meeting dates every second and fourth Thursday of the month. So that's my recommendation to the board.
Do we have any discussion? I assume that's all. Looks like it's acceptable to everyone. Do I need a motion on that?
No, I don't think so.
Just a consensus? We have, anyone
Little
disagree?
nod thing.
All right, that sounds agreeable.
Thank you. The next item is just the fourth quarter financials to date, and that's reading it into the record. We budgeted $153,672 for personal services. Expended year to date, $118,801.57. Balance $34,870 for 43 cents. Operations $483,972 budgeted. Expended year to date, $292,613.64 cents. Balance $191,358.36. Grants and projects $425,000 budgeted. Expended year to date $86,792. Balance $338,207.10 cents. Contingency $1,151,466, and the balance remains the same at $1,151,466. Intergovernment transfer $150,000. Expended year to date $150,000. Balance zero. So that is your quarter financials year to date for fourth quarter. Any questions?
Member Davis?
Since this is year end, right, the excesses go back into the city, somewhere into the city?
That is correct. It goes back into the CRA, yes.
What was the intergovernmental transfer item?
That is the charge to the CRA for utilizing city facilities, and it's a charge for essentially Ms. Watson's use of city space. And it's transferred in at one time, because it's a recurring cost each month.
Any other questions?
Go ahead, Dave.
Member Matheny?
So what is the plan for this $1.7 million?
It's only 1.1, right? Because the rest of it goes back into your general fund.
Doesn't go into the general fund.
No,
It-
it goes,
It doesn't go into the general fund.
Stays in the CRA.
It stays in the CRA.
Right.
And rolls over into next year?
Mr. Sturgeon?
the plan is to use it for the Phase 2 downtown, the majority of it,
Oh,
which
okay.
will be in the first quarter CRA financial analysis.
Phase 2 of downtown.
Thank you. Mayor, so can I get and I don't need it tonight, obviously, but can we get a breakdown of the community redevelopment, the actual budget? I mean, we got professional services in here. Can we just get, like, where's that going? There's some big dollars in here that are moving around, but I'd just like to get maybe it's, Mr. Sturgeon, and just getting a better idea of
You'd
where
like a
it's going.
detailed budget of
Yeah,
the CRA? Yes.
I
I
was
thought it's available in our budget. I mean, but
Yeah.
we'll make sure it's available to you, yes.
Budget is one thing, the actuals are another, where
We
the
want the
money's actually.
actuals?
Yeah, like
Okay.
what's,
Yes.
some of these big numbers in here
Well-
are just, or is it going to GIA? Is it going to, what, I know we're working on a lot of design, I know we're working on a lot of stuff for the downtown. If we can just get sort of a breakdown of,
Yes, we
kinda
can give
where
you
it's
the
going.
breakdown
Okay.
of all the expenditures that are associated with each of the different operational lines, yes.
all right,
Mhm.
that's all. Thank you.
Sturgeon?
He's talking about budget performance. You want to see
Yes.
not
Yeah.
the actual budget. The question I had, Andre, and I apologize for not asking earlier, does this amount include the proceeds from the sale of the Makinsons? Has that been transferred in there yet?
No. I need to confirm it with Wendy, but I don't think that it does.
I was asking if there was the proceeds from the sale of the Makinsons building went back into this.
I know that we
we'll
are
check
putting
on
it back
that.
into CRA, but I don't think it's included here.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions or comment?
Just one last quick one. Are
Yes.
the excesses mostly the result of COVID and less things getting done, or?
Well, I can't necessarily give you a good answer for that, except we actively seek out individuals for grants, and if they don't apply, we can't give them the money if they don't apply. So, you know, we don't control that at this point. So, yeah, I mean, that may be a reason why we have excess funds at this point, or maybe we're just very fiscally responsible in our activities and not spending a lot of money on things that we may not need.
So the operations and personnel, though, we need to adjust the budget downward?
Well, again, this was, the budget was analyzed by our finance director, and she did make adjustments based on areas that she saw that we weren't making expenditures, so that's been done. This report, again, is a point in time and is not end of year, even though it says that, because it was done prior to the end of this fiscal year, but it represents what's occurring in that last quarter. So
Not
we can do
really.
another report that probably will show you exactly what the final expenses were for fiscal year 1920. And I'll make sure that we get you all the correct numbers and show exactly what was spent and what was actually remaining.
Okay, so even though this says fourth quarter, it's not really?
It's not really the entire, because normal fourth quarter comes after September 30th, and this was prepared some time ago, so.
Any other question? You got something on your mind, Mr. Davis?
Does the city use cash or accrual accounting?
Oh, I'm not a finance person, I
That's-
apologize, I think we use.
I'd have to ask the finance
I think we use
director.
a cash.
I don't know why. I'd have to ask the finance director.
And is that something you can just send to all of us along with the budget breakdown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? Mr. Manzares, we don't have to approve this report, do we? We just receive it?
sir.
Thank
No,
you.
informational on.
Thank you very much. Would any of the members here have an update or comment you would like to make? Mr. Davis? Mr. Lodi? Mr. Askew?
I got a comment. I think that we're doing a great job looking at the Makinson building. I walked through it with Zachary Parsons. It's, you know, those are the sort of things that we're doing up here that, you know, I know I was giving everybody a hard time about the AC. I just wanted to make sure that we were clear about that. But I think that we're all doing a good thing up here, and that building looks fantastic. And when it opens up, it's going to be a big change. So I think if we keep our eyes open, there might be some other stuff coming down the road. So
Good.
kudos
Yeah, I
to
agree.
everybody up here, and definitely kudos to staff. So
Definitely. Mr. Gopher?
Good, good, done good.
Member Athene? Good. Mr. Sturgeon, have anything?
I'm good, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Manzares?
No, sir, I'm good, thank you.
All right. I don't have anything new. I'm excited to see the progress on the building there.
all right.
Do you have anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the CRA board? If not,
Oh, you got a good person back there.
oh, please come forward, and
You need to come up.
you'll need to come to the microphone, please, sir, and give us your name and your address.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Robert Kehoe. I'm a new resident to the beautiful city of St. Cloud. I've been here for about 4 months. I'm trying to get involved in the community to see what I can do, offer my time, services, and I heard some stuff about the projects that are taking place. I kind of got myself involved with the Rotary Club, the Chamber of Commerce. I met Antoinette through the Rotary Club presentation that she did, I think, a couple weeks ago, and I got very excited by what I seen. I'm studying to get my real estate license here in Florida. I'm originally from New York. I have some carpentry and construction background. So when I heard about the projects that you guys are doing, I was wondering how I could maybe become, an advocate for improvement and offer my services, just get out there in the street, see what I can do. So that's basically it. It's good to be here, and it's good to get some education as to what's going on around here. Thank you for giving me some time and letting me say hello.
Well, thank you, Robert. It's good to have you here in St. Cloud. With that, our next CRA meeting is Thursday, December the 3rd, and I don't see any additional items.
Do we know where at yet? Do we know where at yet?
I imagine it'll be here because nothing's been changed yet on the mandate from the county.
Yes,
correct?
sir. The plan is to use this facility, I think, for most public meetings here in the city.
So we'll be here then. With that, we are adjourned. Antoinette.